In the quiet suburbs of Evergreen Meadows, where manicured lawns stretched like emerald carpets under the watchful eyes of the Homeowners Association, lived the Ramirez family. Maria Ramirez, a single mother of two, had moved there 5 years ago seeking stability after her husband's untimely passing. With her son, Javier, now 12, and her daughter, Sofia, just turning 8, Maria poured her heart into creating a home that echoed with laughter rather than echoes of loss. She worked tirelessly as a nurse at the local hospital, her shifts often bleeding into the night, but every spare moment was dedicated to her children. The house, a modest 2-story colonial, was more than shelter. It was a sanctuary where Sofia's drawings adorned the walls and Javier's soccer trophies gleamed on the shelves. Yet, beneath the surface of this idyllic neighborhood, lurked a shadow that would soon engulf them in a storm of injustice and resilience. The trouble began innocently enough, with a small vegetable garden Maria planted in her backyard. Inspired by her late husband's love for fresh produce, she tilled the soil one spring afternoon, enlisting Javier and Sofia to help scatter seeds for tomatoes, peppers, and herbs. It was a project born of love, a way to teach her children about growth and self-sufficiency. But to Eleanor Hargrove, the self-appointed guardian of the HOA's rigid covenants, it was an affront. Eleanor, a retired accountant in her late 60s, had ruled the association's board with an iron fist for over a decade. Known among neighbors as the HOA Queen, she patrolled the streets in her golf cart, clipboard in hand, noting every perceived infraction, from unpainted mailboxes to holiday lights lingering a day too long. Her letters arrived like clockwork, terse and unforgiving, demanding compliance under threat of fines. Maria's first notice came tucked into her mailbox like a venomous snake. Violation of Section 4.2, unauthorized landscaping alterations. It read, citing the garden as a breach of aesthetic uniformity. Maria stared at the paper in disbelief, her hands trembling slightly from exhaustion after a double shift. She had reviewed the HOA rules before buying the home. Nothing explicitly forbade a personal garden, especially one hidden from street view. Gathering her courage, she attended the next board meeting, Sofia clinging to her hand while Javier waited at home. The room was sterile, filled with folding chairs and the scent of stale coffee. Eleanor presided at the front, her sharp eyes scanning the attendees like a hawk spotting prey. "Mrs. Ramirez," Eleanor began, her voice dripping with condescension. "Our community prides itself on maintaining a certain standard. Your experiment in the backyard disrupts the harmony we've all agreed to uphold." Maria explained calmly, her words measured and professional, highlighting how the garden fostered family bonding and provided healthy food amid rising grocery costs. She spoke of her heritage, how gardening connected her to her Mexican roots, a tradition passed down through generations. But Eleanor dismissed her with a wave, her lips curling into a smirk. "Traditions are fine in their place, but here we adhere to the rules. Remove it or face penalties." Whispers rippled through the room. Some neighbors nodded in agreement, others averted their eyes, uncomfortable with the underlying tone that Maria couldn't quite name but felt deeply. Discrimination veiled as bureaucracy. As weeks turned to months, the fines accumulated like storm clouds. $50 for the garden, another $100 for a non-compliant fence repair Maria had done herself to save money. Sofia, sensitive and empathetic, noticed her mother's growing stress. "Why is the lady so mean, Mama?" she asked one evening, her big brown eyes wide with concern as they sat at the kitchen table. Maria pulled her daughter into a hug, inhaling the scent of strawberry shampoo. "Some people forget that rules should serve people, not hurt them, Mija. But we'll stand strong, together." Javier, more outspoken, suggested fighting back. "We can talk to a lawyer, Mom. This isn't fair." Maria hesitated. Legal fees would strain their budget, but the principle burned within her. This wasn't just about a garden. It was about dignity, about not being pushed around because of her last name or her status as a widow. Emboldened by her children's support, Maria sought free legal advice from a community clinic. There, she met attorney Lisa Chun, a fierce advocate for underrepresented families facing HOA overreach. Lisa's office was cluttered with case files and motivational posters, a stark contrast to the HOA's pristine boardroom. "This smells like selective enforcement," Lisa said after reviewing the documents, her brow furrowed. "I've seen it before, HOAs targeting minorities under the guise of standards. We'll challenge this." Together, they drafted a formal appeal, citing precedents where similar gardens were allowed in other homes. Maria felt a spark of hope, a quiet pride in standing up for what was right. But Eleanor escalated. One afternoon, as Maria returned from work, she found workers uprooting her garden under Eleanor's supervision. Sophia, home early from school, watched in horror from the window, tears streaming down her face. "They took our tomatoes, Mama," she wailed when Maria rushed inside. The sight broke Maria's heart. The soil churned like a battlefield, seedlings scattered like fallen soldiers. Javier clenched his fists, his young face hardening. "This is bullying," he muttered. That night, Maria held her children close, whispering stories of her own mother's resilience during hard times. "Courage isn't the absence of fear," she told them. "It's acting despite it." The incident fueled her resolve. She filed a lawsuit against the HOA for discriminatory practices, alleging violations of fair housing laws. The neighborhood buzzed with gossip. Some supported Maria quietly, slipping notes of encouragement under her door. Others, loyal to Eleanor, shunned her family. Javier found his soccer ball deflated. Sophia endured whispers at school. Eleanor, undeterred, rallied her allies, portraying Maria as a troublemaker in newsletters. "We must protect our community's integrity," she wrote, words laced with implication. Maria endured it all with grace, focusing on her work and family. At the hospital, she cared for patients with the same empathy she craved from her neighbors, drawing strength from their gratitude. As the court date approached, tension mounted. Lisa prepared Maria meticulously, role-playing cross-examinations. "Stay calm, speak from the heart," she advised. Maria practiced in front of the mirror, her reflection showing a woman transformed, not broken, but fortified. Sophia, sensing the gravity, drew a picture of their family holding hands under a rainbow, titling it, "We Win Together." Javier researched HOA laws online, proud to contribute. The Ramirez home, once a place of quiet routine, became a hub of strategy and solidarity. On the eve of the hearing, Maria knelt by Sophia's bed, tucking her in. "Tomorrow we fight for our home, but more than that, for our right to belong." Sophia nodded sleepily, her small hand in Maria's. "I love you, Mama. You're the bravest." As Maria turned off the light, she felt a swell of emotion. Pride in her children, courage in her veins, and a determination to reclaim their dignity. Little did she know, the courtroom would become the stage for a confrontation that would test every ounce of that resolve, exposing the raw underbelly of prejudice and delivering a moment of unyielding justice. The morning of the hearing dawned crisp and clear, but Maria's heart pounded like thunder. She dressed in her best suit, a simple black ensemble that spoke of quiet professionalism. Javier, too young for court but old enough to understand, hugged her tightly. "Kick butt, Mom." Sophia, however, insisted on coming. "I want to be there for you," she said, her voice small but firm. Maria relented, knowing the exposure might be educational, though she worried about the stress on her daughter. They arrived at the courthouse early, the grand building looming like a symbol of impartiality. Inside, the air was cool and echoing, filled with the murmurs of attorneys and the shuffle of papers. The courtroom assigned to their case was modest, with wooden benches worn from years of disputes. Judge Harlan Brooks presided, a stern but fair man in his 50s, known for his no-nonsense approach to civil matters. Eleanor sat at the defendant's table with her lawyer, a slick corporate type named Mr. Donovan, who adjusted his tie with practiced arrogance. Maria and Lisa took their seats. Sophia perched quietly beside her mother, clutching a stuffed bear for comfort. As proceedings began, Lisa opened with a compelling argument, presenting evidence of disparate treatment, photos of similar gardens in non-minority homes that went unchallenged. Eleanor's turn came, and she testified with feigned innocence, claiming the rules applied equally. But under Lisa's cross-examination, cracks appeared. "Isn't it true that you've overlooked violations by board members' friends?" Lisa pressed, holding up emails as exhibits. Eleanor flustered, her cheeks reddening. "Those were minor oversights," she snapped. The judge leaned forward, his interest piqued. Maria testified next, her voice steady as she recounted the emotional toll. The fines draining her savings, the destruction of the garden shattering her children's innocence. "This isn't about dirt and plants," she said, her eyes meeting the judge's. "It's about being treated as less than because of who I am." Sophia listened intently, her small frame tense. During a recess, she tugged at Maria's sleeve. "Mama, that lady is lying." Maria smiled faintly, smoothing her daughter's hair. "Truth has a way of coming out, Mija." But as the hearing resumed, Eleanor's frustration boiled over. When Maria returned to the stand for clarification, Eleanor stood abruptly, pointing accusingly. "You're twisting everything. This community doesn't need your kind disrupting our peace." The words hung in the air, laced with venom, revealing the discrimination Maria had suspected. The judge banged his gavel. "Order. Mrs. Hargrove, control yourself." But Eleanor, lost in her rage, marched toward the witness stand. Sophia, frightened by the outburst, began to cry softly, reaching for her mother. In a moment of sheer insanity, Eleanor grabbed Sophia's arm, yanking her away. "Get this child out of here. She's distracting the court." Sophia screamed, her wails piercing the room. Maria leaped up, horror-struck. "Let go of my daughter." Time seemed to slow. The bailiff, a burly man named Officer Reyes, moved with lightning speed. He intercepted Eleanor, his hand firmly but professionally prying her grip from Sophia's arm. "Ma'am, step back now," he commanded, his voice booming with authority. Eleanor resisted momentarily, her face contorted in fury, but Reyes was unyielding. He escorted her back to her seat, signaling for security. The judge's face was thunderous. "This is unacceptable. Mrs. Hargrove, you are in contempt." Sophia clung to Maria, sobbing, as the courtroom erupted in gasps. In that instant, Maria felt a surge of protective fury mingled with profound relief. The bailiff's swift action had not only protected her child but exposed Eleanor's true colors. As order was restored, Lisa seized the moment, arguing that this outburst exemplified the discriminatory animus behind the HOA's actions. The judge nodded gravely, adjourning for deliberation. Outside, Maria held Sophia close, whispering reassurances. "It's over now, baby. You're safe." Javier, waiting at home, would later hear the story and beam with pride at his mother's strength. The aftermath of the courtroom incident rippled through Evergreen Meadows like a shockwave, but for Maria, it was just the beginning of a deeper battle for justice. As they left the courthouse, Sophia's arm bore faint red marks from Eleanor's grasp, a physical reminder of the emotional scars. Maria took her straight to the pediatrician, documenting everything for the record. "This could strengthen our case," Lisa said over the phone, her tone laced with determination. "Assault on a minor in a court of law, it's indefensible." Maria nodded, though exhaustion weighed on her. That night, she cooked Sophia's favorite meal, enchiladas with fresh herbs from a neighbor's sympathetic gift, and they ate together, Javier regaling them with school stories to lighten the mood. Yet, beneath the normalcy, Maria's mind raced. How had a simple garden led to this? It was a question that echoed the experiences of countless families facing systemic bias, where rules became weapons against the vulnerable. News of the incident spread quickly. Local reporters, tipped off by courthouse staff, reached out for interviews. Maria hesitated at first, wary of exposing her family further, but Lisa encouraged her. "Your story can inspire others. It's about more than us now." The first article appeared in the town paper, "HOA Dispute Turns Ugly in Courtroom Clash." It detailed Eleanor's outburst, quoting witnesses who described her as unhinged. Online, forums buzzed, Reddit threads in r/HOA and r/public freakout dissected the event. with users sharing similar tales of overzealous associations. Maria read some anonymously, finding solace in the solidarity. "You're not alone," one commenter wrote. "Fight back for all of us." Eleanor, meanwhile, doubled down. Through her lawyer, she issued a statement claiming the incident was misconstrued, that she was merely assisting in removing a distraction. But the damage was done. Even her allies distanced themselves. At the next HOA meeting, attendance swelled with curious neighbors. Eleanor attempted to preside as usual, but murmurs of dissent filled the air. One resident, Mr. Patel, a father of 3, stood up. "This has gone too far. We need reform." Eleanor banged her gavel, but her authority cracked like thin ice. Maria's lawsuit gained traction. Lisa filed an amended complaint, adding charges of assault and emotional distress. Discovery revealed damning emails. Eleanor referring to Maria as that immigrant troublemaker in private correspondences. "This is gold," Lisa said, poring over the documents in her office. Maria sat across from her, Sophia playing quietly in the corner with coloring books. "But what about the toll on my kids?" Maria asked, her voice soft. Lisa paused, her expression empathetic. "I know it's hard, but think of the precedent. You're paving the way for dignity in these communities." As preparations intensified, Maria balanced her nursing shifts with court prep. Colleagues at the hospital rallied around her, sharing stories of their own HOA woes. One nurse, Angela, confided about fines for her rainbow flag during Pride Month. "It's all about control," she said. Maria nodded, feeling a kinship. At home, she instilled lessons of resilience in her children. "Justice isn't always swift," she told Javier during a late-night talk, "but it's worth pursuing." He hugged her, his admiration evident. Sophia, recovering from the trauma, drew pictures of strong women, her mother as a superhero, cape flowing. The HOA retaliated with petty tactics. Anonymous complaints about Maria's car parking, increased surveillance. One evening, Eleanor drove by slowly, glaring. Sophia spotted her and hid behind the curtains. "Why does she hate us, Mama?" Maria knelt to her level. "Hate comes from fear, Mija, but we respond with love and strength." That philosophy guided Maria through sleepless nights, drafting affidavits and rehearsing testimony. Support poured in unexpectedly. A GoFundMe started by a neighbor raised funds for legal fees, surpassing its goal. Messages flooded Maria's inbox. "Your courage inspires me," she replied to each, her professionalism shining through. Lisa organized a press conference outside the courthouse, where Maria spoke eloquently. "This fight is for every family who's felt marginalized. We deserve to live with dignity, without fear." Cameras flashed, capturing her poised demeanor. Sophia stood beside her, holding her hand, a symbol of innocence amid adversity. Eleanor's defense crumbled further when former board members came forward, testifying to her biased enforcement. One, Mrs. Thompson, admitted under oath, she targeted certain families, those who didn't fit her vision. The judge, reviewing motions, denied the HOA's request for dismissal. "This case merits a full trial," he ruled. Maria exhaled in relief, but the road ahead loomed. As the trial date neared, Maria focused on healing. Family outings to the park, where Sophia laughed on swings, reminded her of life's joys. Javier joined a youth advocacy group, channeling his anger into positive action. "I'm proud of you," Maria told him. Yet, shadows lingered. Sophia's nightmares of the grab, Maria's anxiety spikes. The trial opened on a rainy autumn day, the courtroom packed. Lisa's opening statement painted a vivid picture. "This is a story of power abused, of a mother's love tested, and of justice demanded." Mr. Donovan countered, minimizing the incident as a momentary lapse. Witnesses took the stand, neighbors corroborating discrimination, experts on fair housing laws. Maria testified again, her voice unwavering as she described the garden's destruction. "It was more than plants. It was our hope uprooted." Cross-examination was brutal. Donovan probed Maria's background, implying instability. As a single mother, perhaps the fines were due to neglect? Maria met his gaze. No, sir. They were due to prejudice. The jury, diverse in composition, listened intently. Sophia, allowed in for parts, sat quietly, her presence a poignant reminder. Mid-trial, Eleanor testified, her composure fraying. Under Lisa's questioning, she admitted to the emails. I didn't mean it that way, she stammered. The courtroom tensed. Then, in a replay of the hearing, Eleanor's temper flared during redirect. But this time, safeguards were in place. No physical outburst, but her words betrayed her. People like her don't belong. The judge admonished her sharply. Closing arguments sealed the narrative. Lisa evoked emotion. Imagine your child grabbed, your dignity stripped. Maria Ramirez stood tall. For justice, for all. The jury deliberated for hours, tension palpable. When the verdict came, guilty on discrimination, assault awarded damages. Maria wept. Sophia hugged her. We won, Mama. But resolution was bittersweet. The HOA reformed. Eleanor resigned in disgrace. Maria's garden regrew, symbolizing renewal. Yet, scars remained, teaching profound lessons in courage. Victory in the trial brought a flood of emotions to Maria Ramirez. But it was not the end. It was a turning point in a journey marked by unyielding perseverance. The courtroom, once an arena of confrontation, now echoed with the jury's decision. The HOA liable for $50,000 in damages, plus reforms to their bylaws ensuring equitable enforcement. As the gavel fell, Maria embraced Lisa, tears of relief mingling with those of vindication. Sophia, who had witnessed the closing moments, rushed forward, her small arms wrapping around her mother's waist. Is the bad lady gone now? She whispered. Maria nodded, stroking her hair. She's not in charge anymore, Mija. We made sure of that. Javier, waiting outside, whooped in joy upon hearing the news, his fist pumping the air like a champion. The media frenzy intensified. National outlets picked up the story. Widow takes down tyrannical HOA in dramatic court win. Interviews followed, Maria on morning shows, speaking with poise about the broader implications. This isn't just my victory, she said, her voice steady and professional. It's for every person who's faced discrimination in their own backyard. HOAs should build communities, not divide them. Viewers connected deeply, flooding social media with support. Hashtags like #JusticeForRamirez trended, sharing parallel tales of HOA horrors, from fines for cultural decorations to evictions over petty disputes. Back in Evergreen Meadows, change swept through like a cleansing wind. The board, under new leadership, audited past violations, refunding unfair fines. Neighbors who had stayed silent now approached Maria with apologies. We should have spoken up sooner, Mr. Patel said at a community barbecue Maria hosted to foster healing. She smiled graciously. It's never too late to stand for what's right. Sophia played with other children, her laughter a balm, while Javier organized a youth garden club, turning the ordeal into empowerment. Eleanor's fall was swift and public. Stripped of her position, she faced community ostracism. Rumors swirled of her moving away, but Maria harbored no malice. I pity her, she confided to Lisa over coffee. Hate consumes the hater. Instead, Maria channeled energy into advocacy, speaking at fair housing seminars. Her story became a case study, highlighting how courage exposes systemic flaws. Yet healing took time. Sophia's therapy sessions addressed the trauma, her drawings evolving from fear to triumph. Bailiffs as heroes, families united. Maria attended support groups for single parents, finding camaraderie. You've inspired me to fight my own battle, one woman shared. Maria's pride swelled. Her struggle had ripple effects. As months passed, the Ramirez family flourished. The garden bloomed vibrantly, yielding bountiful harvests shared with neighbors. Javier excelled in school, his essay on justice winning awards. Sophia, resilient, performed in a school play, her confidence restored. Maria's work at the hospital earned her a promotion, her empathy deepened by personal trials. But echoes of the past lingered. One evening, a letter arrived, not from the HOA, but a national organization inviting Maria to keynote their conference. "Your story embodies dignity and resolution," it read. She accepted, preparing a speech that wove her narrative with universal themes. "In the face of adversity, we discover our strength," she practiced, her words stirring. The conference, held in a bustling city hall, drew hundreds. Maria stood at the podium, Sophia and Javier in the front row. "It began with a garden," she started, her voice resonant, "but grew into a fight for our humanity." She recounted the build-up, the hearing's chaos, Eleanor's grab, the bailiff's intervention, painting vivid pictures that evoked gasps and nods. "That moment tested us, but it also revealed truth. Justice isn't handed. It's claimed with courage." Attendees rose in applause, many in tears. Afterward, people shared their stories, forming bonds. Maria felt profound fulfillment. Her pain transformed into purpose. Returning home, life normalized, but enriched. Holidays were joyous, the house filled with friends. Sophia's birthday party featured garden-picked treats, symbolizing growth. Javier volunteered at legal clinics, aspiring to law school. Years later, reflecting, Maria marveled at their journey. "We didn't just survive," she told her children, now teens. "We thrived." Sophia, hugging her, added, "Because of your bravery, Mama." The story, once a nightmare, became a legacy of pride, proving that dignity prevails when met with unshakable resolve. The Ramirez family's saga didn't end with the trial's gavel. It evolved into a beacon for change, illuminating paths for others. Maria's advocacy expanded. She co-founded a nonprofit aiding HOA victims, providing legal resources and community support. "Empowerment starts with knowledge," she often said in workshops, her professional demeanor inspiring trust. Challenges persisted. Copycat cases emerged, HOAs resisting reform. Maria testified in legislative hearings, pushing for statewide oversight. "Unchecked power breeds abuse," she argued eloquently. Lawmakers listened, bills passing incrementally. Personally, Maria found love again. A kind doctor from work, understanding her past. They blended families gently, Sophia and Javier welcoming step-siblings. The garden expanded, a metaphor for their lives, rooted, flourishing. Eleanor's fate faded from view, but lessons endured. Maria taught forgiveness, not forgetfulness. "We honor our struggle by lifting others," she instilled. In quiet moments, Maria gazed at her children, pride overflowing. From a widow's quiet fight to a movement spark, their story embodied resilience. Justice, once elusive, now their foundation, echoing eternally. As the years unfolded, the Ramirez family's triumph over the HOA became more than a personal victory. It wove itself into the fabric of broader societal change, inspiring a wave of reforms that echoed across neighborhoods nationwide. Maria, now a recognized advocate, traveled to speak at events, her narrative a powerful testament to the human spirit's capacity for endurance and transformation. "Our story is one of many," she would say, her voice carrying the weight of experience yet infused with hope. "But together we can rewrite the rules that divide us." Sophia, growing into a thoughtful young woman, often accompanied her, sharing her child's eye view of the incident. "I remember the fear," Sophia would recount. "But more than that, I remember my mother's strength. It taught me that dignity is non-negotiable." The nonprofit Maria co-founded, Dignity in Residence, grew rapidly. With grants and donations, it offered free consultations, mediation services, and educational seminars. Volunteers, many former victims, staffed hotlines, guiding callers through bureaucratic mazes. One success story involved a Black family fined for non-traditional yard art. With Maria's team's help, they not only overturned the fines but prompted HOA diversity training. "Your courage lit the way," the family wrote in thanks. Maria framed such letters, reminders of impact amid ongoing struggles. Javier pursued law, interning at fair housing firms. "I want to be the bailiff in someone's story," he joked, but his dedication was serious. Graduating top of his class, he joined Lisa's practice, closing the circle. Family dinners buzzed with case discussions, blending professional insight with personal anecdotes. Sophia, artistic and empathetic, studied psychology, aiming to help trauma survivors. "That grab changed me," she admitted. "But it made me want to heal others." Maria's personal life blossomed too. Her marriage to Dr. Elena Torres brought stability and joy. Blended family vacations, beach trips where laughter drowned out past echoes, strengthened bonds. The garden, now a community plot, hosted workshops, symbolizing unity. Neighbors contributed, turning former divisions into shared harvests. Yet, reflections on the incident persisted. Anniversaries brought media retrospectives. From courtroom chaos to community champion, Maria participated thoughtfully, emphasizing resolution over sensationalism. "The bailiff's action was justice in motion," she described. "But true change comes from within communities." Eleanor's name surfaced occasionally, in a quiet retirement, reportedly regretful. Maria sent no olive branch but wished her peace, embodying grace. Globally, the story resonated. International outlets covered it, drawing parallels to housing injustices worldwide. Maria keynoted abroad, connecting cultures through shared themes of discrimination and dignity. In quieter times, Maria wrote a memoir, Roots of Resilience, detailing the journey. It became a bestseller, proceeds funding scholarships. Readers connected deeply. "Your words gave me strength to fight my own HOA battle," one emailed. As grandchildren arrived, Maria shared diluted versions of the tale, focusing on bravery, not pain. Sophia's daughter, named after Maria, played in the garden, oblivious to its history, yet inheriting its legacy. Ultimately, the Ramirez saga proved that one family's stand could ignite widespread justice. Pride in their courage, resolution in their victories, defined them. In Evergreen Meadows, where unity now reigned, Maria walked her old streets, head high, knowing they had not just endured, they had prevailed, inspiring eternal change. The enduring legacy of the Ramirez family's ordeal manifested in tangible reforms that reshaped HOA governance across the country. Inspired by their case, several states enacted laws mandating transparency, anti-discrimination clauses, and appeal processes. Maria testified before Congress, her eloquent plea influencing federal guidelines. "No family should fear their home," she urged, her words stirring lawmakers to action. Dignity in Residence expanded to chapters nationwide, partnering with civil rights organizations. Success stories multiplied. A veteran spared eviction, and LGBTQ+ couples flags protected. Maria's leadership earned awards, but she deflected praise. "It's the collective effort that matters." Family milestones marked progress. Javier's wedding, Sophia's graduation, celebrations infused with gratitude. "We owe our happiness to that fight," Maria toasted. In retirement, Maria gardened, mentored, and reflected. "Life's trials forge us," she told Ments. Sophia and Javier carried the torch, ensuring the story's flame burned bright. Decades later, the incident faded into lore, but its lessons endured. Justice, dignity, courage, timeless pillars built from one mother's unyielding resolve. The Ramirez family, once victims, became architects of a fairer world, their narrative a stirring call to stand tall.